Right, hello. I'm gonna try to do a very quick video, right? And what this is on the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Okay. Rambo over the Truth Codes has just done a video a few days ago now, I think. Um, Symbols of the Power of Frequency, Part One, Judgment. Damar Hamlin and the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Okay, so he's making a connection between Damar Hamlin, the name Hamlin, and of course the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Okay, so he's connecting these Hamlins together. Okay, phonetically the same, slightly different spelling, but that's basically the same word, right? Now, what is going on with Rambo's um, video is he's talking about the power of frequency and vibration over maybe being able to like levitate physical objects with sound and that kind of thing. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to delve a little bit deeper to what this idea of sound might be, and I also want to make a secondary connection with the Pied Piper being Damar. Okay, so we've got the last name and the name of the place where the story takes place. Okay, that's Rambo's got that connection um, already made, but I want to make the connection now between actually why the Damar, yeah, is the Pied Piper. And the way I said that, you might be getting it now. The Damar, okay, the Damar being the Damar, and that being the Pied Piper. Okay, so very briefly, what is going on with the story? If you don't know the story, what this guy is hired by a town, a village of Hamlin, to get rid of a rat infestation that they have. Okay, and what happens is he does the job. He charges them 1,000 guilders to do it. They don't like that price for some reason. They only pay him 50 guilders. Okay, he gets annoyed about this, and while everybody's at church, he goes out with his pipe again. He uses the pipe, this pipe originally to lure the rats off and drown them in the river. Um, Again, the power of the word or the sound over a problem, right? A physical problem. And what is going on is when they don't pay up correctly, he lures off the children with the same magical pipe, bit like snake charming, I guess, and he takes the children from the villagers. And depending on the graphicness of what which version of the story you're looking at, he either drowns them in the river or holds them hostage until the townspeople pay up the full amount or extra money as well. So there's slightly different versions. There's 3 kids out of 130 kids, I believe. I don't know if they're out of 130 or 130 get drowned and there's 3 left. So I have this again 13 reference, 133 references that we've seen in the chart of Lorraine. But the 3 kids that are spared, a bit like Tommy in the Who's the deaf, dumb, and blind kid in I don't know what that song's called, Pinball Wizard or whatever. That's who's spared. The kid that can't walk to follow along, the kid that can't see to follow along, and the kid that can't hear the snake charmer music. Okay. So anyway, there's 3 that are spared. And we have some interesting numbers that come out of this. We have the 1,000, which can be condensed down to 100, 10, 1. We have the 50, again, the idea of getting back to God, and that 50 with the bullseye of the pie, the big pie chart of the dartboard, the pie chart again. Okay. So that 50, the center bullseye. So we have some references there popping up. The 13 is going to be an interesting one, because, you know, this idea of, I mean, I talked about the idea of it being, you know, Damar, you know, having the dam in the name.
It has a hypnotic.
Don't want to play that. But again, with the 13, and Damar Hamlin also wears the, got him up here somewhere, he did wear the 31 shirt, okay? And got to remember that Herbert Hoover was the 31st president. So we have that 13 reference, the 31 reference. It's interesting, okay, that connects back to a Hoover, okay? Where do I want to go with this? So, I mean, I don't really need to even go to the, do I even need to go to Wikipedia? Not really, okay? You see him dressed up here, this kind of Joker outfit, and there's his pipe. What kind of pipe it actually is, whether it's a flute or a, it doesn't really matter, because, you know, what this is symbolizing is the production of sound, okay? And the production of sound, we do it all the time with our mouths, okay? But this gives a graphic symbol of the production of sound, right? So it's an important thing to put into the story. But what I think it's referencing is simply language, the spoken word, okay? And the spoken word is, you know, what this guy represents to me is he is representing the people that we put in charge. He's representing the matrix. He's representing government, those kind of people that take care of a problem, charge an extortionate amount of money for what they do, and supposedly take care of a problem, okay? People are not happy about it, okay? So the government overcharges for a problem, and what we as the people do is, you could imagine the idea of only paying 50 guilders back, because people are broke. They can't afford to pay anymore. Even though the guy's charging them an extortionate amount of money, people simply can't afford to pay that money, okay? And what does that do? That puts us in debt to this guy. And when you're in debt, who pays the debt of the preceding generation? The children. So what the story is telling us there is this guy that operates via sound and controls things via sound, which is what the governments do of the world. They use the legal system, which is all just language written down on a piece of paper. So this is what I'm getting from this. This sound that this guy is making here is a language, right? A spoken language, which in turn gets written down, which becomes a controlling entity in itself. The legal system is a controlling entity, right? And it supposedly takes care of problems, right? And what it's doing there is it's trying to tame nature, yeah? A plague of rats is a result of a problem, a man-made problem. You know, trash in the streets, you know, excess food waste lying around. That's why rats come in. They come in to take care of a problem that man has created, okay? And so what is going on here is this guy is trying to tame a natural response in the world, okay? So that's what he's doing. He's taking care of that, you know? And what ends up happening is the townspeople can't pay him, and then that puts them in debt to this guy, and this guy basically enslaves the children. The children pay the debt of the preceding generations. That's this is what this is talking about. This whole story is about the Matrix. The guy, the Pied Piper. I mean, we can make some connections now with the idea. I mean, of course, I've just said about the merry-go-round that we're on, the dartboard, you know, spinning around. We're in that cycle of the Matrix right now, you know, and in order to get out of that cycle of the Matrix, you've got to, you know, where you ever ridden one of those little merry-go-rounds they've taken most of them out of the parks in England now, I think, because people fly off of them and break their arms and everything. But you remember those things? You'd get on them, you'd run around the outside and then jump on them. The place, you know, that thing's spinning like the spinning cycle, yeah, like the pie chart that's spinning, like the dartboard, right? So the idea of pi and the circle and the spin, where do you go to where that thing stops spinning? Yeah, where you're not constantly fighting against the force of being flung out into oblivion, right? The center of that thing. You've got to move to the center. You've got to find your center. It's all about finding balance. The heart is the center of the body. It's about moving back to the correct balance between the physical and the metaphysical. And we can draw some, you know, some I don't know, we can draw some similarities between, you know, the idea of this guy now taming nature in terms of like a rat infestation, right? And what the guy does in the desert, yeah, with the Colorado River behind the Hoover Dam, right? What is going on there is the idea is to tame nature again, you know, to provide water all year long, so that people can live in the desert that wouldn't normally live there. Vast quantities of people that wouldn't normally live in the desert are living there, okay? And then what it ends up doing is all the natural people that used to live there, basically, it messes up their natural cycle. It messes up the fish going up the river. It messes up. What do they teach us at school about in Egypt when they built that dam? I think it's the Aswan Dam. I don't know what the hell that dam is, but anyway, the one that's on the Nile or at the top of the where the Nile starts, coming off those mountains there. But what that did is it stopped that flow of water and it stopped those floodings that occurred. Okay, it stopped the deluge. It stopped the natural cycle, and then, you know, what we were taught was the natural cycle of flooding would bring all fresh fertility back to along the side of the Nile there, along the banks of the Nile, where they would grow all their, you know, food basically. And what that ended up doing is it ended up ruining the fertility of the soils alongside, you know, along the Nile. And again, it caused, you know, the taming of nature actually ends up causing more problems in the long run, right? But that's what people do. They have an idea and they think it's a good idea, and then they go and try and tame nature. They try to adjust nature to suit their needs, right? Which is not the correct way to do things. Okay, we should be out there working in harmony with nature rather than, you know, paving it with concrete and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? But this is essentially what the guy that builds the dam does. He's taming nature, the same as the Pied Piper is taming nature. The guy building the dam, the dammer, okay, the guy that is building the dam is the dammer. And again, can we see a similarity now with the idea of the dammer and the Pied Piper? They're the same idea. They're just the Matrix, basically. That's what we're dealing with. just the matrix. Okay, and I've talked about, what the dam represents. It represents the legal system, it represents government, it represents all those things to do with the matrix that control us. It's to do with our own personal image of ourselves as well, our ego. It's all those things. Okay, but it's essentially the same thing. Going to the actual shape. Let me show you something here. I've shown this in old videos, but on we've got the river. We've got the. If you look down on the dam, right, what you have is you have these two legs coming off the bottom of the dam. Okay, and they've got like transformers and stuff along here, and I don't know what they've got, but there's the two legs, right? And then they've got the dam. Actually, it looks more like this. Okay, but that to me, it doesn't look very good, does it? But that to me is very similar to a symbol that we use, which is this symbol. Okay, pi. Okay, the actual bird's eye view of the Hoover Dam is a very similar symbol. I guess the arch is probably more pronounced than that, but it's a very similar symbol to pi. Okay, this symbol shows up in Back to the Future with the Western Auto sign as well, where that 911 is formed. We also have this formed with the fire trail. Okay, going off into the Assembly of Christ or whatever. The fire trail goes off, and the little hook is sitting on the line between the two lampposts. Okay, but that thing shows up there, and I believe the actual shape of the Hoover Dam is that shape for a reason. Okay, not only is it a throne, it's a reference to the pi, it's a reference to that cycle that we're stuck in. So interesting again. One other interesting thing about the idea of the Pied Piper is the Hoover Dam. Not only is it full of let me see, I've got all kinds of stuff up here. Hang on. Here we are. So not only is the Hoover, there you go, you can see these legs here. Well, you can see one of the legs. Okay, and if you could imagine looking from above, it wouldn't be difficult to get that symbolism of pi. But look, here we go. The Hoover Dam is full of pipe work. Okay, so this idea of the Pied Piper, the piper, it's absolutely full of pipe work, and there's more pipe work than just the water flowing through it to the turbines and the spillways. There's also hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet of cooling pipe that when they built that thing, because they were pouring so much concrete, and concrete has an exothermic reaction when it's setting up, and they had to get rid of that heat because they were pouring vast quantities of concrete. I believe that if you don't get rid of that heat, it affects the strength of the concrete. So, and whether or not it sets up, basically. And so they had to cool all that concrete as they were doing it. So they had to lay a bunch of pipe work within the actual structure of the dam as well, just to get the concrete to set up properly. So it's absolutely a vast network of pipes, that dam. So the idea of Pied Piper, it definitely is pipes. Lots and lots of pipes. I think I'm going to leave it there, but you can see why now Damar, the Damar of Hamlin, the Damar of Hamlin, again, is the Matrix. Yeah? It is the Matrix. It is the Pied Piper. It's all the same symbolism. It is the Queen. You know. I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't think there's anything I've really missed out of that. You know, I mean, I talked last time about the AR being reversed on Damar, for Ra, for the sun god, and the sun being inside the dam, because that's what basically happens. Is those sounds, that language, is what ends up controlling, that legal system is what ends up controlling the physical man. Yeah, the Ra. That's what ends up controlling. That's what ends up damming that thing. Yeah, the dam is a physical barrier. Yeah, but it's a containment unit. It's almost, it's like a prison almost. And when you're in there, you're doing what the system says. Okay, what that language of the system dictates to the fictional person. The only problem is we aren't the fictional person, we are the physical person, and there's a difference there, and there's a difference of jurisdiction that not a lot of people know about. But yeah, you know, what else to say? Other than the power of sound, the idea of a sound, the idea of language that is controlling people. Yeah, and when we're in this system, at least symbolically, our kids are now enslaved into the system as well, because we went and did a deal with the devil, and our forefathers went and did a deal with the devil. Subsequent generations are automatically enslaved by that thing. Only the people that don't follow, escape that thing. Only the people that don't listen to the nonsense escape that thing. Only the people that don't want to watch what other people are doing, in the system. Only the people that don't, copy what other people are doing are saved from that system. Yeah, and that's why Tommy is the kid that escapes the system. Okay, that's why those three kids escape. And of course, back to the Holy Trinity again with the three, right? The 131 in the let me show you this 131 that comes across here on this portion of this cross that's in the portion of the St. Andrew cross that's in the chart of Lorraine here. Here's our 33 for Christ, the sun and the moon coming back into balance. And here we have on this leg of this thing the 331. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, because some people have been looking at this chart now and be like, what the hell are you talking about with this chart? Let me know. That's for people that follow the channel, basically. How else to say? Again, remember, 31 is also pi. Okay, 314. Okay, so I don't know if Rambo made that link or not, but this is pi that he's wearing on his chest as well. So again, another good connection to the Pied Piper. I'll try and link that video in the description. It's definitely, or I might put it in the comments, I don't know. But it's definitely worth a watch. Interesting stuff. But the power of words over people, it's an important takeaway, and what that guy, the Pied Piper, really is the Matrix. The guy that we pay to do the dirty work, that really isn't something that we should be doing. We shouldn't be handing off a problem to that person, and we shouldn't be creating those problems in the first place. It's basically a Matrix created problem anyway. Okay, and I think there's something to the story. Excuse me. I think there's something to the story that, depending on the version, is that the Pied Piper gets accused of creating the problem in the first place, and and bring in the rats. So again, that idea is put forward in there as well. That the actual the guy that comes to to give you the solution is the guy that created the problem in the first place, and we hear that all the time with the way the system operates and the way the rulers of the world operate. They create a problem, problem, reaction, solution stuff, and then they sort that problem out. Okay, but it was a problem that was generated by the system in the first place. So we have that idea with the Pied Piper as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because otherwise I'll just keep waffling on. No need to keep waffling on. Again, the bills, yeah? This is what this guy gives you. The Pied Piper gives you bills. Alright, I'm leaving it there. Cheers. Bye.